Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again, as always. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell. So every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So let's talk about this racial wealth gap. And I'm starting to believe that there is a conspiracy with this whole argument. Now, yes, I have books, I've read books, continue to read books on how Black Americans have been, redlined, discriminated against in order for us to not receive any wealth or very little. And it's, it's there's evidence of it, but in the past and in the present, no matter what some people might thinking like, oh, thinking that there's nothing holding us back from becoming wealthy like white people. There's no racism ain't abundant, ain't prevalent like it was back in the day. But as we can say all the time, just because you don't see people riding down your street in white sheets on horses, burning crosses, doesn't mean racism doesn't exist. They just know how to make it more covert, right? They can own corporations, they can be in law enforcement, they can be in the medical field, they can be in, they're still there. You know what I'm saying? It's still out there, and they just found a way to be able to do it legally without being, let's say like you kind of find out that, Black folks are being taxed more than, white people, but they always compare like poor Black people to rich white people. And that's like, and it shouldn't be done like that. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I've done videos on that already. But like I said, the more and more research I do, the more and more stuff I see, I start to think, wait a minute, something that we're missing, because I always understand that whatever they put in your face, best believe there's something behind the scenes that we're not paying attention to. So they always talk about the racial wealth gap. I think that's being pandered to us just to try to discourage us, because there's no way in the world that with the way things are going, if it keeps going the way it's going, there's no way in the world that we'll ever catch up to white folks when it comes to the racial wealth gap, because they, control a lot of the money, and, will continue to do so. And I said in previous videos that we shouldn't concentrate on closing the gap with other people, with anybody. What we should do is try to, as an individual and as a whole, as Black Americans, we should be trying to get ourselves just out of poverty. We got to take small steps. Everybody want, to get to the finish line. Like when we talk about these relationships and these women who want a man who got this much money, look like this, pay all the bills, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. That's a woman who wants to see, who wants to stand at the finish line and wait for that guy to, make himself successful. And now they want to go after him and expect that man to just fall in love with them, but not understanding that there could be other women who along the way have helped him get to where he's at. And it's like, why would he want to deal with you on a long-term basis? He might want to, knock you down real quick and be gone. But you know what I'm saying? Why do you think why should he pick you? You know what I'm saying? Compared to other women who are probably doing the same exact thing you're doing, right? But like I said, those are people, like I say, who want to get to the finish line and don't want to do the work. So they want things handed to them real quick. Same thing with this racial wealth gap. White people got trillions of dollars in wealth compared to us. Trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars compared to us. And we think that the government should feel sorry for us. The government know they owe us stuff, so they should just give us that money. And I mean, it's gonna take a lot of work from us to make it happen. But in the meanwhile, we still need to be working on ourselves to get out of poverty, to get the majority of our people out of poverty. And that's what I want to kind of home in on here, is that the question I have is, how in the world do we go from being second in wealth in this country to fourth in a matter of years, maybe decades. Because Mary, it used to be the white people, then blacks, then Hispanics, and then everybody else. But now all of a sudden it's Asians, whites, Hispanics, and then Black Americans. And I noticed that when I did my one of my last videos and looking at the wealth that, looking at the racial wealth gap, trying to come up with a video with that, and saw that, like I say, Hispanics had got past us. I'm like, how in the heck did that happen? When did that happen? So I started doing deeper dives, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not even the half of it. Matter of fact, I said, we done became fourth. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about catching up to white folks when there's a group of people that's above the white people. But see, that's why I'm saying the racial wealth gap conversation, we shouldn't even have that. Trying to bridge the gap, because white people may have more wealth. Like I said, you're not going to have wealth they had, number one, not in this country, because number one, you're a minority compared to them. But then two, per household, white people don't have the most money. And that's what you should be looking at, trying to increase your wealth individually. And then we do that, then that's how we can, so narrow the wealth gap as a whole. But anyway, let's get into this story. Let's go ahead and get into the video, because here's what I want us to understand. Like I said, we have to find ways to, like I say, get out of poverty. And the only way to really do that is to study those that have been successful in becoming, I guess, rich, if that's what you want to, if that's which way you want to go. Because our problem is that I've seen is that when we see somebody have something, instead of really congratulating them or even trying to figure out how they did it, and then when we do figure out how they did it, we want to be like, oh, that's too much work. And then we just fall back into the depression mode as in, oh, let's blame the white man. But like I said, we got to see how they, instead of seeing how they did it, for the most part, we want to hate. And a lot of us, people want to take it from them, which is why you get people that do carjackings and robberies and stuff like that, because somebody got something that you want. They probably worked hard for it to get it. And now you want to take it instead of figuring out how they did it and then going to get it yourself. Not understanding that it takes time. I tell people all the time, I got no problem saying, I kind of wish it would have, happened differently, but I got no problem telling people, man, it took me years to get a 2-year degree. I tell people, man, it took me about 10 years to get a 2-year degree. But that's because when I went back to college, I'm taking one class here, one class there, two classes, and then, just adding, then trying to work, had a family, had kids, family. It wasn't easy. Had to drop the program, come back to the program, put out the program, put back in the program. It wasn't easy, but I didn't become a nurse. But again, I started late in life. Well, later than life than normal, than what people want you to do when you go to talk about going to college. And didn't get my degree and my license until I was 40, probably 40, 41. And been benefiting from it ever since. But it took time, and it was discouraging, but hell, it's better to move forward than to sit back and blame everybody and woe is me and I can't do it. Man, I've seen too many people. Man, if I could see a single mother with 2-3 kids go to school, go to work, catching buses and getting a degree, nah, man, I got no excuse. Kids or no kids, wife or no wife, ex-wife or no wife, whatever. I got no excuse. I got to get out there and grind. So it's going to take work for sure, but in the end, it's going to be worth it. So what I want to do is look at, what does this say? Like I say, I'm on the census.gov, and this is an article written a couple months ago. It said households with a white non-Hispanic householder were 10 times wealthier than those with a black householder in 2021. They talk about the black and white racial wealth gap, all that kind of stuff. Unsecured debt, student loan, medical debt, yada, 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 yada. Like I said, the typical, You know what I'm saying? Typical talking points. But when I try to go dive a little deeper, I wanted to look at more than one race. So I went to this businessinsider.com, and the title of this one says, these two charts show how the racial wealth gap has gotten even wider over the years. So let's say dive a little more deeper. This one has charts where it says total household wealth by race and ethnicity. This is up until 2020. And it shows white people have $103.4 trillion in wealth compared to, what is this, black having $4.98 trillion in wealth, but then Hispanic having $2.89 trillion in wealth. Now that's total, but like I say, per household, Hispanics have more than black people, but we're going to get to that. And then it said wealth by race, ethnicity per household. White people have $1.2 million per household. This is like I said, it's 2020. Blacks have had $279.1 thousand, and Hispanics have $234.3 thousand. Now I'm gonna say with our two groups, most likely that has to do with housing. Most of the wealth is probably in your home because we don't have a lot of liquid assets, like a lot of money in the bank, investments, stuff like investment account, gold, stuff like that. A lot of us don't have that. So most of our wealth is in the house that we live in. So like I said, saw that and I said, okay, well, that's like I said, that's a big racial wealth gap. I don't see how we're gonna get that. It would it being with a lot of wealth in housing, then you gotta think about appraisals. And we've seen stories where, black people houses have been appraised and for like hundreds of thousands of dollars less than it would have been if white people own the house. We saw those stories. Matter of fact, I think even D.L. Hughley said he went through that living in California, had the same problem, what have you. So it's so like I say, it's still going on, the racism. Like, so no matter what people say, it's still out there. But then I go to Pew Research. Now this is a little more deeper, and this is a little more deeper and getting more to where I'm trying to get to. Now this is done December 4th, 2023, and it's a Pew Research, and there are different categories. The first category says wealth gaps within racial and ethnic groups. And as you scroll down, it says what counts as poor or rich varies by the racial and ethnic identity of a household. Now this goes up to 2021. The statistics. It said the first group is white people. This is from December 2021. It says poorer with an ER. Kind of like the N-word, right? I'm just playing. But poorer whites have $4,700 in assets, right? In wealth, if you want to call it. The more solvent white people have $128,400. Wealthier have $435,600. And the richer whites have pretty much $1.5 million in 2021. Blacks, the poorer Black Americans, we had a debt of $4,000, which is better than 2 years prior when we had a debt of $10,000. But we were in the negative. That same time frame, Hispanics in 2021 had zero debt. The poor Hispanic had zero debt. But 2 years before that, they had $1.1 thousand in debt. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, what the heck was Hispanics doing in order to not have debt? And what difference between what they were doing and what we were doing. Now, we'd be the first one to say, Mexicans come over here, start working, making less money at these jobs. That's, so that's why them folks are allowing them to come over here because, they can work under the table, blah, blah, blah. And like I told you, yes, you got people working under the table, working with illegal Social Security cards and this and stolen Social Security cards and stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, they can't work less than minimum wage, regardless. So if you're making minimum wage, they're making minimum wage. But if they're working 2-3 jobs, or you working 2 or 3 jobs, or you saving all your money and living, living together with your family, all y'all making money, trying to, save money to create wealth in your family, create comfortability in your family, pay off a house, get nice car, get nice things, have 4 or 5 Escalades and Cadillacs and Mustangs out in the driveway in a 4-bedroom house. Or you get a job and want to move out and do your own thing and then complain that you ain't got nothing and nobody's helping you. And you can't get along with the people that raised you or with family members for the grand scheme of things. I mean, just ask yourself that question. But also Asians in that same period, the poorer Asians have $8,900 in assets compared to $2,900 2 years before. So amazingly, I mean, but everybody's, gaining assets, which is good, within a 2-year time frame. It's probably during the pandemic, if you pay attention to that, and people start getting more money. So when folks say, why we're going to vote for Trump, these are the reasons why, because they'll tell you, I had more money during the pandemic with Trump than I got right now with Joe Biden. It's messed up. But you go on, let's say, now we're going to go from the poorer to the richer. White people, like I said, had in 2021, December had 1.5 million. Blacks had 414,000. Hispanics had 528,000. Again, they have surpassed us somehow. They surpassed us a long time ago. And Asians have $1.8 million in assets. So, like I say, that's if y'all see where I'm going with this. Like I'm saying, the pandering is the white versus black, when really we need to be paying attention to pretty much everybody. Whites, we already know how they did it. Now tell me how the Asians come in here and the Hispanics are coming in here again and surpassing us. What are they doing differently? You don't look at it and get upset and talk about how life isn't fair, because life is hard, but it's fair. Shout out to MJG. But instead of complaining about what you ain't got, be thankful for what you got and then figure out how to get what you want or what you need to get to where you're trying to get. And again, you are supposed to study. If you want to say the word ops, then you study your ops. But you study those that are successful to figure out how to not necessarily beat them, but to at least see what they did and follow a blueprint that works. And a lot of times, if y'all understanding it, is these blueprints take time. You're not going to get rich overnight. So I say wealth inequality within racial and ethnic groups in the U.S. narrowed during the pandemic. Richer black households had 136 times the wealth of more solvent black households in 2019 and 62 times as much in 2021. Like I said, when y'all want to know why people voting for Trump, that's why. When it comes down, when you mess with people money, they ain't gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? So you put money in people's hands, yeah, they'll tend to see your side of things. It said richer U.S. households in a racial or ethnic group hold most of the group's total wealth. It said all households, 82%, 84% white. I don't understand that. But anyway, so then you go to the little next topic, and they say wealth gaps across racial and ethnic groups. It said how wealth varies by race and ethnicity. In 2021, like I say, whites and Asians households have vastly more wealth than other households. And I'll probably put a link in the description box so y'all can look at this. But yeah, Asians in 2021 had $320,000 compared to whites who had $250,000 compared to black who had $27,000 and Hispanics who have $48,000. And so, and it shows the changes, like whites wealth raised by 23%, blacks went up 77%, and still we at the bottom. Hispanics went up 42%, Asians went up 43%, and multiracial went up 70%. Right? It say how wealth varies by income. It shows a lower income, middle income. But what I want to get to, like I say, is let's just see, can we see what Asian and Asian Americans are doing? Because that's what I'm trying to get to, right? So this is from usfacts.org, and it says, which jobs have the highest representation of Asian Americans? And I want you to ask yourself the question, as a Black American, where are you working at? I don't want to hear about you, like say, doing vendor shows, which I do. I've done and do, you know what I'm saying? But it's not my main income. It's a catalyst to try to boost my business, but like most people. But if your vendor show, like say, like me, and is not making you wealth, then we're not gonna talk about being an entrepreneur, because that's no. But if it is your main source of income, then by all means, think about it. But my question is, what kind of job do you do? What are you doing for a living? I told y'all, like I said, I'm a nurse. I'm doing nursing. Been doing like 6.5, almost 7 years. Like I said, making good, decent money, able to pay my bills, pay stuff off, and saying building up to something bigger at this point. But the reason why I say ask yourself what kind of jobs are you having, because that could play a big role. What kind of career, kind of field you're going into, or doing, because that could play a big role. That plays a big role into what kind of money you got. So let's say it says, which jobs have the highest representation of Asian Americans? Asian Americans are most highly represented in technical fields such as computer and math, in addition to personal care and service jobs. I said before, years ago on videos, that those of us who are doing manual labor, those of us who are working in fast food, stop it. You need to stop it. Get back in the books, do something that had to do with STEM and computers, math, something. But get into those careers, hell, even healthcare. And I don't mean like nurses' aides and stuff like that. I mean like get into career, because that stuff was okay back in the day, but times are changing. Things are costing a lot more money and they're not paying more. So you got to find something that is going to pay the bills. So, and I said, we got to get out of the, like I said, this fast food, this warehouse, because they're replacing us. I mean, they got robots in restaurants, they got robots in warehouses. Where are you going to work at? Like I say, as in the nursing home, as a nurse's aide, whatever, med tech, whatever case may be, stuff like that. Okay, but those are dead end jobs that will lead you nowhere. And you're just going to go every day and do the same thing and working overtime to buy Christmas gifts. And that's about all you're going to do. And I mean, nothing wrong with an honest living. Don't get me wrong. But my thing is, it's time to stop being complacent and time to build daily for you and the next generation and the generation after that. Forget that generational wealth thing. Nah, we ain't gonna talk about that. What we're gonna talk about is what you can do for your children in order for them to have a better life than you. That's the goal. And instill that in them so they can do the same thing for your grandchildren. So let's continue right quick. This is updated May 1st, 2023. It said Asian Americans' contributions to the U.S. workforce are as varied and diverse as the demographic group itself. Let's say they make up a disproportionate share of high-paying occupations in computer science, math, engineering, health, and business. But they are also highly represented in lower pay in personal care and service work. The Asian American demographic is a complex group with people from a range of distinct nationalities and backgrounds. As a result, the occupations of Burmese or Vietnamese Americans, for example, tend to differ drastically from those of Chinese or Indian Americans. So, there's a hierarchy there, but we just want to talk about those. We're going to talk about all of them. So we ain't going to like separate too much. We're going to talk about the ones that's making a lot, and then the ones that's not making a whole lot. Asian Americans are also more represented in the relatively high-paying architect, engineering, and life and social science occupations. There are 36.4% of computer hardware engineers and 43.1% of medical scientists, where median weekly earnings are $2,277 and $1,544 respectively. So that's weekly. So that's pretty decent. That is decent. $2,000 a week. That's pretty decent. It's at the same time, Asian Americans are a disproportionate share of personal care and service workers, including hairdressers, child care workers, and nail stylists. I blame my sisters for that. I really do, because I for like my hair care stuff. I shop first. I shop at a black hair care store out in Red Oak. But I go to them first. If they don't have it, I let them know, hey, this is what I use. I need. Can y'all stock this? I'm like, yeah, we'll get it. It's at a third. But then if I ain't got no more, then I end up going to the Asian place. Now the lady with that store, I remember she started off real small, like a couple of shelves. I'm like, man, this is interesting. Person started a business, and then I go back in there. She's adding more and more products or more shelves, more and more items, and seeing like her business is growing. But that's how you do business. It's going. You start small and it builds slowly. Not I'm finna open up a beauty supply shop, fill it up with all these products, and go make $1 million in the first week. That doesn't happen. Hell, Asians didn't even do that, and they got the corner on it. But I know that with black folks, sometimes stuff costs more money dealing with black people, but sometimes that's the price you have to pay to patronize your people. Because the Asians can get it cheaper, sell it to you cheap or whatever, and they try to keep the black folks out the market. But like I say, sometimes what you got to do to, sometimes you got to pay just to get your people, up running. And hey, you're trying to close the racial wealth gap, right? So you got to patronize your own people for the most part. And eventually, because if the mother folks see that you're not going to them, you know what they're going to end up doing? They'll end up reaching out to the black store owners and trying to partnership with them or trying to give them deals once they start losing money in their businesses. Because again, it's business. They're going to want money. They can't make the 75% of the business, but if they can get 50% or even 25%, is better than nothing. So you got to think about it like that. But like I say, it takes time. So at the same time, Asian Americans are disproportionate. Oh yeah, I already said that. And nail salon. I know sisters that do nails, but like I say, I blame our sisters for still going to these Asian places. They discriminate against you. They be racist towards you, and you still go because what? Because they have a sale. Instead of patronizing black American sisters and giving them your business. But then too, that means black American sisters are gonna have to make sure their customer service is up to par. But does it happen? I mean, yeah, it should be. On GP, it should be. But like I say, the way you see these Asian people do you, I mean, do you really care about customers? You don't care about customer service, your own people? But other folks treat you like crap, huh? They said they make up 10.1% of employees in those roles and are 73.1% of manicurists and pedicurists specifically, folks who do nails. The median weekly earning for manicurists and pedicurists in 2022 was $677, 36% below the national average of $1,059. So, I mean, like I said, you go down, you see this chart, and it shows that percentage point overrepresentation or underrepresentation by Asians in 2021. They are like 16.7% of the computer and math, like overrepresenting their population. Life, physical, social science, 8.6%, architect, engineering, 8%, personal care service, 3.5%. So basically what this is saying that for their population, if it's 1,000 people, if there's 1,000 Asians in the US, that means 16 of them or 18 of them are in computer and math. That's a lot. 16, 17%. Yeah, of them in math. But anyway, and it goes on and say it kind of breaks down to each Asian population or what have you. But then, so like I said, I go to that. Now I want to go to our people. And let's see what our people are doing. And this is another pewresearch.org. What is this other one I got? Okay. And it says black workers' views and experiences in the U.S. labor force stand out in key ways. Now it's talking about the discrimination, racism, this and the third. It says, number one, Black Americans make up large shares of workers in certain transit, health, and security occupations. It say we make up 12.6% of all occupations in America, right? But we make up 40.4% in the postal service clerks in the post office. And I see that even in the little city I live in, You go to the post office, it's mainly black women there, maybe one black dude who's probably, the manager, probably trying to flirt with all of them. Let's say 38.5% of the postal service, mail sorters, processors, and processing machine operators. 36.6% of the bus drivers, transit, and inner city. 36% nursing assistants, not nursing, but nursing assistants like CNAs, PCTs, stuff like that. 34.5% security guards and gambling surveillance officers. 32.5% home health aides. Job analysis, psychiatric techs, family school workers, orderlies, 30% orderlies, licensed LPN, LVNs, 29.1%. But if you notice, these first few, those are jobs with benefits, like real good government type benefits. Postal service, post mail sorters, clerks, bus drivers, transit, government jobs that may not pay great, but you got lifelong benefits, and they'll kill you working there in the meantime. 27% of the barbers, taxi drivers, personal care aides, parking attendants, shuttle driver, blah, 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 all down to 25%. So I say black workers generally earn less than U.S. workers overall, according to the BLS data from 2022. Among full-time wage and salary workers, the median weekly earner for black workers ages 16 and older are $878 compared to $1,054 for all U.S. workers in the same age group. Why do we not make that kind of money? Among workers of other races and ethnicities in the same age group, the median weekly earnings are $823 for Hispanics. It's a little bit less than us. $1,855 for white workers, and $1,401 for Asian workers. And the differences hold when accounting for education levels. Black workers earn less than those in other groups, even among workers with bachelor's degrees or advanced degrees. Household income for black Americans has lagged behind that American and other races for several decades. So we make less money no matter if we got degrees or not. So again, like I said, there is discrimination out there, but a lot of times it's like you're dealing with nepotism. So I tell you like this here. Well, I've worked since the beginning of time. If I knew somebody who needed a job, who wanted to come work, especially if I knew that they were good, hard workers, I put a good word in for them, like seriously. I mean, I started it back when I was working at a warehouse and did it for a couple of people, and they didn't last for like a couple of months. I said, man, I ain't gonna never do that again. Especially people I know like that. I have to know you have a work history and gonna do the work before I put you on. And so I've done that many a times with people. People done put me on still till this day. So like I say, nepotism is real. I've seen it where like Asian Americans or Indian, like Indian, overseas Indians or what have you, they take over. They take over a job, a business, like especially like in nursing. I've been to places where like that's all you see. The majority of the people working there are like Eastern Indians, overseas, real Indians. I call them, real Indians like this, overseas Indians. But yet, for some reason, it seems like we don't put our own people on. Like we scared to put our own people on. Man, if you want to make changes, that's what you need to be doing. They said the unemployment rate for Black Americans is the highest of any racial or ethnic group and roughly double the rate of U.S. overall. In 2022, the unemployment rate for Americans aged 16 and older was 3.7 for men and 3.6 for women. Among Black Americans, it was 6.3% for men and 6.0% for women. This is compared with around 3% for each for white and Asian men and women, about 4% for Hispanic. So again, we're at the bottom. We're like number 4 in this country that we love to claim that we built, that we created. Yeah, we did all that. But what are we showing for? Nothing. And yes, I'm telling you like this. I feel that I could talk about this because I've been on all sides of the spectrum. Like I said, I have a career in a field that as long as I keep my license, I can make a lot of money. I always have a job, excuse me, won't be in poverty, can make it happen, can do it. So when I say that, yes, there's still racism, there's still bigotry, discrimination in this country. Yes, there is, but overlook that. Try to overlook that and see what you can do to at least make more than what you're doing now. You can't make what we can call Asian or white people money just because it's unfair and we feel we should get more. It's not going to happen. Not unless we run the country. It's just not going to happen. But what can happen is you can do better than yourself today. You can put in the work so that your tomorrows look a whole lot better and a lot brighter than your today is. But if you don't do it and you continue to complain that these people are holding you back, you'll never have nothing. And it's better to have something than to have nothing. Because I'm going to tell you like this here, you put more money in your pocket, amazingly, people respect you more. I told a story about working at a warehouse, me and a friend of mine, well, a guy I worked with, my car was in the shop, had no car. Ex-wife was working down the street at a bank. And this brother would take me to her job, and so I can sit there and wait till she got work. I would give him a little money. This and the third. So one day I need to buy her a gift. And I'm like, dude, can you take me to this jewelry shop? Somebody want to get her. He's like, yeah, sure. So we go in this jewelry shop. And again, we're getting off out of work, out of warehouse. We're going to this jewelry shop. Ain't nobody in there but like 3, cashiers, whatever, jewelry sales ladies, and white security guard, maybe police officer, I don't know. And that was it in the store. We walking around looking at these nice pieces. And I'm talking about like years ago. And we're walking in, like say, fresh out the warehouse, dirty, tired. Now I knew that at that time I had real good credit. I already knew that my credit would allow me to get what I wanted. So, but I'm looking around, see what I want. And I said, okay, I want this, and I want to use your credit. I want to apply for your credit. And you can tell that the clerk's looking like, oh, here we go again. So she like slide me application and walk off, and the other clerks and the security guard, they just talking. So me and the dude, we walking around looking like, oh, like that's a nice piece, man. You gotta get that. Get your girl that. Then that third said, man, nah, I want this right here. I already knew what it was. It wasn't too expensive, but if somebody didn't have it, I knew I could pay it off in a matter of months. And the lady, she over there still kind of pointing stuff out. I said, let me see that. Saw this nice little necklace. This had a big, thick necklace and earring set, like diamond necklace, all that kind of stuff. Like she really didn't want to show up, but then, ain't like we can run out of there because you got to get buzzed out, right? So anyway, all of a sudden, clerk across the hall hollered like these thousands of dollars that my credit was approved for. And she was like, what? Well, let's say like, she said like 8,000, something like that. And like, so we say 800, said, no, 8,000, something like that. And boom, all of a sudden the sales lady perked up. And now she's trying to sell me everything under the sun in that case. I'm like, nah, I just want this here. That's it. And then I'm out of here. You're like, you sure this and trying to sell me everything. But anyway, long story short, man, I had like 2 or 3 people helping me. They wrapped it. They offered gift wrapping, everything. Gave me the works. So friendly when I walked out of the house. But again, at that point, I realized, what's in the world ain't really black and white. It's about green. If you got money, because people look at you, even your own folk. And it was some black, I think it was like a black lady, white lady, whatever was in there. So it was like my own folk in there too, treating us like that, looking at us like that. And once they figured out how much money we had, things changed. Oh, not money I had, but the credit that I had and what I could have, and what I was approved of getting. Things change. So like I said, back then I realized it's not necessarily black and white. It's if you got the green, people treat you different. This also says black workers are the most likely to say they've experienced discrimination at work because of their race and ethnicity. I mean, we all say that, like 41%, white say 8%, Hispanic 20%, Asians 25%. A quarter of U.S. workers saying being black makes it harder to succeed where they work. And I can testify to that. I remember seeing the guy working in the warehouse, this dude, he was like a lead. He had been at least 10 years, probably more than that, at least a lead for like 10 years. Supervisor's job came up. His brother had the experience on the dock, right? He came in, when it's time for his interview, he brought a suit and everything. When it's time for the interview, he went to the locker room, cleaned up a little bit, changed to his suit, went to the interview. They gave the job to this white male that worked in the office, who they said when he worked in a warehouse said he couldn't cut it, so he went back into the office. But now he wanted to be a supervisor over all these black folks, and they gave him a job. Now the guy that was a supervisor before him, he was like a country podunk, white boy who had used the N-word maybe once or twice in our dealings. But he good enough to be a supervisor. But the brother who, like I said, who worked there, who was like professional, mild-mannered, no problems, did his work, was a lead. He wasn't, you don't want to give him a supervisor's job, whatever. So, like I said, so yeah, we've all seen it. We've all seen it. It's a majority of Black Americans see racial and ethnic bias as a major problem in hiring performance evaluations. I can attest to that. I'm sure y'all can too. They said we especially value diversity in the workplace. I don't know about diversity, but at least, put us on. Then we can put everybody else on. And then talk about DEI and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to talk about that. But again, my point is, I think, like I said, we're looking at this all wrong. You get to a point to where you have to say, we got to make a change. We can hope that the politicians, white people, those in power, will help us out. We vote for y'all, and then y'all pull us up out this poverty. But in reality, you have to do it on your own. You see what the Asians have done. You see what the Hispanic have done. Joe Biden and them are trying to pander to Hispanics too, but a lot of them ain't seeing that. They ain't liking all these Hispanics, Mexicans, illegal immigrants coming over this border. They're like, no, you're gonna mess up. And I see why now, because they got more than we have. So they sure the heck don't want nobody to mess with that. But like Asians, you don't really see them complaining too much about this influx of migrants because they got a whole different plan. They got a whole different plan on how they do things. They know what fields to get into, what markets to get into, and they try to capitalize and maximize their earning potentials in those markets. Like say computers and math and science, but yet us, we want to be like, everybody want to be a nurse. And I tell folks, nurse ain't like it used to be. It's something different because now a lot of foreigners are becoming nurses. But there's money in nursing. You just gotta, that just gotta be your shtick. It's something you gotta want to do. But there's money in nursing. But again, you gotta go to school, get your degree. I know some sisters that became nurses. We still out there, but men brothers too. But not enough, because I'd be like, where the nurses at? You know what I'm saying? We gotta, like I said, we talking about we ain't got no money, but we ain't out there going to get it. We shoot. If we that poor as these stats show, then that means damn near every last one of us should be on some way to forget student loans, should be able to get financial aid, like grants and financial aid where we ain't got to pay back. Cause I got some of that too when I first started, but then I got loans too after a while because started making money, couldn't get it no more. But if you ain't making money, then you should be getting, like I say, grants and financial aid where we ain't got to pay back and go to school and learn a trade or get something with a license. Not just to go to school so you can get that check and then drop out, which is why they changed that whole system too. But we have to study those who have really, like I say, started to surpass us. I remember going to the hood and remember, houses have, being like, frame houses, small houses, houses in the hood. Then you see like Hispanics coming into the neighborhood. They'll buy a house, buy a few houses in the neighborhood. And then next thing you know, you see that house. You go back through it a few months later and it's brick. It's got a U-drive in the front. It got a wrought iron fence, 2 lines sitting in the front. And this 50,000 house and just turned into like $150,000 house. Now they get upset because they got to pay taxes. They thinking, oh, about the house 50,000. Yeah, but the house is worth 150,000. Mine would be worth more if there was more houses like that. As a matter of fact, these other houses, they're bringing your property value down, but you're bringing theirs up to where it probably get to the point where they can't even afford to live here and pay the tax because the tax is going to go up. And so the cycle begins. More houses being bought, more houses being built up. And then you get these development companies, investment companies, and they start buying these houses and in these neighborhoods and building them up. Now you go from $50,000 houses to $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 houses in the hood. And none of us can afford to stay in there. But that's how they do it. They take their money, what little money they make together, and they create a nice looking house, increase the property values. While a lot of homeboys I know and their families still stay in the same house, patching it up, and ain't doing nothing to it. Got to change the mindset. And got to change our mindset, because if not, we'll never, as a group, get anywhere. Get your kids, and yeah, the school system can be terrible, but nobody's stopping you from buying a book on Amazon. Nobody's stopping you from watching educational classes online. Matter of fact, here you got these online colleges that charge little to nothing for certification or to learn how to do stuff. So you can get a skill, get a trade. You can do something unconventional, but there's nothing stopping you from learning. Once you learn it, then the sky's the limit, and we can make as much money as you possibly can once you get into the field. But you got to be able, like I say, to learn or to teach a skill. Last story. I don't know if I told you this. I think I did one time. I had a brother who was recommended by another brother to do sprinkler system work. I know I told the story before. So long story short, I went from having 14 zones working to having 1 zone working. By the time he left, and he was there for like a week, he kept finding these leaks, kept charging me this money, that money. I pay him. I said, man, hold on. I'm done. I can't. I know what I'm saying. I don't have no more money. When I get my money, I'll let you know. I had to let him go after a week. The next week, I hired a white dude, and I say with numbers and letters on the truck, because he's certified, came out the next week, had it all working in a day. Cost me more money to do it, and then he was still fixing on things that the first guy did. The first guy wanted to get in the business, thought he gonna make some easy money, learn this on the fly. Nah, bro, you ain't no apprentice, you ain't did nothing. You just told people you can do something, and then the word got around, but you doing shoddy work. But if I want it done right, I'm gonna pay the money. I'm gonna pay the money to get it done right. I'm not, I think I let him. I think I let him last a week because he was black. Simple as that. But again, it didn't work out. So my thing is, if you're going to do it right. Get out there, learn what you got to learn. Like I said, you can watch a video, become an apprentice, follow somebody. Do like I said, do like them essays we're doing, the Mexicans are doing, Hispanics, whatever you want to call them. Whatever's politically correct today. They work for people, doing yards or doing roof work or doing building work. And they learn that skill, and once they get it down, they do it for themselves, and then they start a business, do it on the side, and then get a full-fledged business and feeding their family. But like I say, it takes time. But anyway, that's all I got for this story. In summary, see what the Asians, see what the Hispanics have done to get past. And I'm gonna say got past. Those of you who are still in poverty, or those of you who don't have this amount of wealth, because I did what I need to do to get it started. Like I say, but I'm still trying to grow, still trying to build. So the work isn't done, but I just need every one of us to keep doing the same thing. But anyway, tell me what you think about the story. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. If you want to support the channel, 4 ways to support non-monetarily. Don't cost you a thing. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. But if you do want to support monetarily, you can do super thanks, super chats, or you can go in the description box. There are links below that you can click on to help support the channel. You can go to marlonmorale.com. Like I say, got beard supply, beard kits, perfumes, colognes, silk scarves, luxury items, the works. Go on there, check it out. But with that being said, however you support, I thank you nonetheless. I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.